Your dream home costs 7 times your annual salary. That's the 2025 American national average. Your parents bought their home for half of that. It's not your streaming subscriptions, it's the housing market. And it's not broken, it's working perfectly. Just not for you. The question is, who is it working for? In 1965, the average American family earned $6,800 a year. The average home cost $19,800. That's less than 3 years of salary. Your grandfather didn't need a financial strategy, he needed a job and a little patience. Now fast forward to 2025. Median home price, $414,000. For a single person earning the median income, around $60,000. And before you even get a mortgage, you need a down payment. The standard is 20%. After rent, food, student debt, and everything else, most people realistically save around 10% of what's left. In the past, saving that 20% down payment took the average family less than 5 years. Today, 14.8 years. Your dog might make it. The first-time homebuyer in America is now 40 years old. In 1981, that number was 29. Your parents were already building equity by the time they were your age. You're still running the numbers. There's a popular explanation for all of this. Young people today are impulsive, impatient, too distracted by lifestyle to make real sacrifices. And maybe that's true, but between 2020 and 2022, the Federal Reserve created approximately $6 trillion in new dollars. Not earned, not taxed, created. When you flood the economy with new money, prices rise. That's not a theory. That's just how money works. And home prices, which are already limited by supply, absorb that flood faster than almost anything else. No lifestyle choice explains a 40% price increase in 24 months. Your avocado toast didn't do that. You've heard of the Federal Reserve, but most people assume it's a government agency. It's not. It's a privately structured central bank, whose regional directors are elected by the same banks it oversees, and it has one ability that no other institution on Earth possesses. It can create US dollars. And after the 2008 financial crisis, it used that ability at a scale the world had never seen before. The Fed started buying assets directly from the market, mortgage bonds, treasury bonds, trillions of dollars injected into the financial system. The goal? Keep borrowing cheap, keep the economy moving. It worked. Mortgage rates dropped to historic lows. By 2020, you could lock a 30-year mortgage at 2.7%. The historical average is closer to 7%. That gap matters more than it sounds. At 2.7%, millions of people who couldn't previously qualify for a mortgage suddenly could. Demand for homes exploded, but you can create money overnight. You cannot build a neighborhood overnight. Between 2020 and 2022, U.S. home prices rose over 40% in less than 24 months. During that same window, the Fed purchased $1.33 trillion in mortgage bonds, nearly 90% of all growth in that market. The Fed became the housing market, and every dollar it created made existing homes more valuable, and pushed first-time buyers one step further from the door. Now, rates have been rising since 2022. Prices should have followed. They didn't, because when you have a 3% mortgage on your current home, you don't sell. You stay put, which means fewer homes available, which means prices hold, even as demand slows. The Fed froze the market, and here's why that matters. All that money, all that demand, hit a market that was already running out of supply. In 2025, the United States is short approximately 3.2 million basic homes for ordinary families. The common assumption is that builders just can't keep up, that construction is slow, materials are expensive, labor is scarce. All of that is true, but it doesn't explain the full picture. Because the other problem is that in most of America, we're not allowed to build. Roughly 75% of residential land in American cities is zoned exclusively for single-family homes. One house, one lot, one family. Meanwhile, you're on a wait list for an apartment you can barely afford. That's a supply problem, but not the kind you'd expect. The most efficient and affordable types of housing are illegal to build on most urban land in the country. And that's not an accident. Zoning laws are set by local votes, and the people who show up to vote are overwhelmingly homeowners. For most Americans, their home is where their wealth lives. So when a new development is proposed nearby, a new apartment building, a duplex, a denser neighborhood, the homeowner sees risk to their property value, risk to their single largest asset. and they vote against anything that threatens it. In areas with high voter turnout, the probability of a neighborhood being rezoned to allow less construction jumps 230%. This isn't corruption, it's democracy, working exactly as designed for the people who show up. And statistically, you weren't one of them. If that question interests you, subscribe. You're in the right place. And while homeowners block supply at the local level, there's an organization making sure that dynamic never changes at the national level. The National Association of Realtors. In 2024, the NAR spent $86.3 million on lobbying, more than any other single organization in the United States, more than oil companies, more than pharmaceutical giants, more than defense contractors. Their agenda isn't complicated. Keep home values high, keep transaction costs high, keep the mortgage interest deduction alive, a tax benefit that delivered 95% of its value to households earning over $100,000 a year, not to first-time buyers, to people who already own. So you have a system where the money supply inflates demand, zoning laws strangle supply, and the most powerful lobbying force in the country works full-time to make sure nothing changes. The shortage isn't a failure of the market, it's the market working for someone else. Your neighbor bought their house in 1995 for $140,000. It's now worth $480,000. They stayed. The market did the rest. Of that $340,000, a good portion is just inflation wearing a different name. But there's still a real gain, and your neighbor will take it. They're just collecting a reward that keeps the whole thing running. Follow the money. The real beneficiaries are the ones who profit from every single transaction, whether prices go up or down, whether you buy or you can't. Think about what happens every time a home sells at an inflated price. The buyer takes out a larger mortgage. A larger mortgage means more interest, paid over 30 years. Right now, just 50 lenders control over 52% of all home purchase loans in the United States. When home prices double, their revenue compounds across millions of loans over decades. And above the lenders, there's another layer, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, the government-sponsored enterprises that buy those mortgages from banks, package them as securities, and sell them to global investors. In 2025, Freddie Mac alone reported over $10 billion in net income for the third consecutive year. The institution that created $6 trillion between 2020 and 2022 inflated asset prices across the board. Larger loans, more interest, more volume for the GSEs. The financial system as a whole had every incentive to keep prices exactly where they are. Your neighbor got a paper gain on one house. The financial system built a permanent revenue stream on every house in every city for as long as prices stay high. The housing market being exactly this expensive isn't a failure, it's a feature. Your neighbor is just a piece on the board. The ones who designed the board are still collecting. The system wasn't broken, it was built this way. Piece by piece, decade by decade, home values kept rising, wealth moved upward, and the dream of homeownership stayed alive, just out of reach, for just enough people to keep everyone trying. A dream you're still chasing controls your decisions, where you live, where you work, how long you stay, how much risk you take, or don't. The housing market needs believers as much as it needs buyers. People who will spend decades organizing their financial lives around an asset that gets more expensive every year they wait. Homeownership might still be the right move for you. Right time, right place, right numbers. But now you know what you're buying into. Thanks for watching.